Hi, everyone. I'm Kimberly Kane, and welcome to Kane Insights. Today, I'm joined by Ken Jacobs. He's a trusted leadership expert, executive coach, and consultant who has spent decades in senior leadership roles across the public relations and communications industries. Today, Ken partners with executives and managers to navigate uncertainty and build stronger teams that lead more courageously. So what is courageous leadership? Well, in this episode, we explore courageous leadership, what it really means, why fear can undermine even the strongest teams, and how leaders can show up with confidence and intention, even in uncertain times. Ken, great to have you with us.
Thank you. It is so nice to be here.
Let's go ahead and dive right in. You spent decades in senior leadership roles in public relations and marketing agencies with really big names. You worked in high pressure situations in highly competitive environments. Talk about how that experience shaped you, not just as a professional, but also as a leader.
Well, I learned so much. I was with, right out of college, DAY Public Relations, which got bought by Ogilvy. I worked for two glass ceiling breakers, Jean Way Schoonover, Barbara Way Hunter. But I'm going to have to say, and they were glass ceiling breakers because when they bought the firm, long before I was there, late 60s, medium-sized national PR firms were not owned by women. So
Mm.
they were so courageous and brave. And I learned more about leadership from them, more after the fact, rear view mirror in the hindsight, sort of thing. Um, and that's because I was so busy nose to the grindstone,
Yeah.
just focusing on the work and the clients, which really was a mistake. I didn't work on
Mhm.
my leadership as much. I had a ton of leadership blind spots, the biggest one being the work alone is enough.
Right. But you observed good leaders in that
Oh,
environment.
yes.
So you had your nose to the grindstone, but clearly you were aware of the environment around you and the leadership that these women brought to the table. Talk about that. What did you
Well, they
observe?
one great lesson Gene taught me. I messed something up big. I was supposed to write a pitch. I didn't know how to write a pitch,
Hmm.
and I was struggling. And instead of asking her for help, it was for a record company,
Okay.
a record label. And I called the president of the record label and said, I need a few more days.
Wow.
Crazy, insane. I wish I had those cojones today.
I was to say
Anyway,
it's
so
not, yeah, I mean,
well,
that's great at being proactive and problem solving, but
but
maybe a
but
little bit over the top.
it was a little stupid. It was a little stupid. So she calls me to her office the next day and said, "Oh, how's it going?" Well, I'm struggling. Oh, I see. I said, "In fact, Gene, I called the head of the record company." She goes, "Yes, I'm aware."
Right.
And instead of firing me or yelling at me or telling me what I had done wrong, she looked at me very calmly and said, I wonder what your other options were. I go, oh
Hmm.
my God,
Beautiful.
Gene, I didn't real. Oh my God, I could have asked you. I could have asked Hal. I could have, whatever.
Hmm.
And it was about the power of using a question to engage my brain to figure out what a goof it was. And I'll never forget this. She
Wow.
said, you've made a mistake and we can all make mistakes like that once,
Mm.
meaning that I wasn't going to necessarily stop making mistakes, but I couldn't make that one again.
Yeah.
And in that moment, Kimberly, I tell you, my loyalty to her, tell me the cliff, I'll jump off it, Gene.
Wow.
So when someone messes up and you handle it the right way,
Mhm.
you vastly increase their loyalty to the company and to you.
So that's a great segue into what you do today, because I would call that a coaching experience.
Oh, it absolutely was. And what she did, asking me an open-ended, empowering question,
Right.
is one of the essences of coaching.
Yeah.
Of I call it don't tell, ask.
Yeah. And that's a hard mindset to put yourself into, I would imagine, as a leader, when someone on your team does something that is so clearly wrong, right? And maybe the business is on the line. maybe you see it very clearly that what they did was wrong, to be able to put yourself in that mindset, that position to not react, not judge, but to actually come up with the right question to ask. That's not easy to do.
Yeah. I think the challenge is going out of consultant mode, going out of trainer mode, and going into coaching mode.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the very best leaders have coaches
Mm-hmm.
and are great coaches. And I always say, you don't have to be a neuroscientist to use neuroscience. And if you can train yourself every time I want to tell, I'm going to ask, I think the right question will come. She didn't say, don't you think you should have asked me first? That was not the question.
Right,
What were your other options?
right. And that takes courage, right? And that's something you've talked with me about that resonates, especially today, is this concept of courageous leadership. Because in that moment, you have the chance to instill emotions in someone else, someone on the other side of the table, and lessons in someone else on the other side of the table. And there's respect that can be won or lost in that moment. So when you hear that phrase, courageous leadership, and I've heard this phrase from you, Ken, it isn't
Absolutely.
always defined clearly, is it?
No, and I think it depends on the moment, it depends on the leader, it depends on the situation and the person. But that said, courageous leaders are followed.
Mhm.
Courageous leaders have engaged followers.
And so
And
talk about what you mean by that. What is it?
yeah,
How do you define courageous leadership?
yeah, I think well, part of it is the courage to ask, don't tell.
Hmm.
Part of it is to acknowledge uncertainty. And I think for the PR industry, these could be downright frightening times. The last 2 years have not been easy. um, the courage to have a direct discussion or an honest discussion. You'll notice I didn't call it a difficult discussion
Hmm.
because once we decide, oh, if I talk to Kimberly about this, it's going to be difficult.
Okay.
I'm bringing that energy into the room,
Right.
and Kimberly is responding to that, and I haven't even opened up my mouth. So let's
Hmm.
let's not think of it as difficult discussions. Let's think of honest discussions, which are going to help them perform better, right?
Hmm.
If you can bring the belief that that dialogue will help them do better, better behavior, better work outputs, it's very much about balance. So if you're willing to say, these are frightening times, there's a lot going on, but never let them see you sweat. Never
Hmm.
let them see you sweat because, for the most part, followers follow courageous leaders and they want that. They're on high alert, especially today. They're on high alert for your fear, high antenna for fear, but boy, they crave your courage. Everyone really wants that. And for those viewers old enough to remember Wooly Willy, it was an old game. It was a piece of cardboard and I think a piece of acetate. And
Hmm.
poor Willie had no hair, no eyebrows, no beard. And you would take, I guess this is for the boomers and the Gen
Okay, I
Xers
haven't
out there,
heard of this
right?
game, so now I'm going to have to
But for
look it
those
up.
young, let me remind, it's
Okay.
it's available online. You can still
Okay.
get it. And
Okay.
you had a magnetic wand and iron filings.
Hmm.
And because the filings were attracted to the wand, you could give Wooly Willy hair and
Okay.
eyebrows and a little beard or mutton chops and that's the thing. Courageous leaders are literally attractive, not in the
Mm.
sense of they're nice looking like us, but in the idea that as they are, those iron filings are attracted to that magnetic wand, your followers are attracted to you if you embrace courage.
I would imagine then can trust plays a big role in that. And trust is something we talk a lot about at Kane. How are we building trusted reputations? Our mission is to help our clients earn trust for good. I would imagine trust plays a central role in being a consistently courageous leader.
I will tell you, I think trust is the most important aspect of leadership that your people trust you, because if they don't trust you, they're just coming in and doing the work and marking it off the to-do list. But that's transactional. It's
Yeah.
not a relationship. So when I have leaders who say, I don't trust some of my team members, which is not a great feeling,
No.
say, well, they may not be trusting you right now. What are you willing to do to change that?
Right.
Because it's whatever you want, give. People say, oh, I don't feel loved right now. Give more love. I don't
Hmm.
feel listened to. Listen better.
Hmm.
Listen more deeply. I don't trust. Well, give more trust. It's all, and this we know through energy coaching, how everything is reciprocal.
Well, and that requires a level of self-awareness on the part of leaders as well, which is not always easy to come by. You've coached many leaders across public relations, communications, marketing, and other industries. Talk about the patterns that you have observed in those who do and can embrace courage versus those who avoid it or
Yeah.
not able to embrace it.
Well, I think two things really come up about that. One is that when people are managing but not leading, running a firm but not leading its people,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
Forgetting that human element. That's a big part of it. It's a cliche, but I love cliches because they've proven the test of time, right?
Hmm.
Um, but what got you to where you are isn't going to get you or the organization or your people to where they need to go. So truly embracing the challenge, the frustration, and the joy and the
Hmm.
satisfaction of leading human beings.
Hmm.
That's a very big step. And I think related to that is that we all have blind spots and
Hmm.
we must fill our blind spots.
Hmm.
Have the courage to find out what your leadership gaps are and then have the courage to do the work. And it is work to fill them. I work with a lot of, as you mentioned, clients in that space, and we'll do some 360s, and some of it's a little painful.
Yeah.
And, sometimes they'll say, well, they misunderstand me. Well,
Right.
they don't get it. Well, they're being unfair, blah,
I'm
Okay.
sure you get a lot of defensive right?
Um,
Because it is difficult to be evaluated by
yeah.
other people.
And what breaks the defensiveness
Mm.
is you say, what you're telling me may be true, and maybe they're wrong. Maybe they're wrong about you. But if that's their perception, how can you achieve what
Right.
you need to achieve for your organization? Let's get to the heart of why they are perceiving you that way, how you'd rather they perceive you, how you believe they need to perceive you to follow you to again achieve your organizational greatness. And then let's do some work towards that.
Hmm. Yeah. And again, you mentioned earlier, this is such a difficult time. We have an economy that is very unpredictable. It creates a lot of stress. There's a lot of stress on people who lead companies, whether you're in the public relations industry or any other industry. The proverbial, reading the tea leaves is something we all have to do. And I would imagine that role of kind of self-leadership, right, where there's a self-awareness that you have as you are or before you are leading others can create an important foundation of strength for those people leaders.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, what that makes me think about is how leadership starts at the top and how
Mhm.
leadership starts with you, how you lead yourself, how you bring what do you bring to meetings? What do you bring to dialogue? Are you willing to have honest, constructive feedback sessions with your team? But
Mhm.
how do you respond when you get bad news? How do you give what could be less than bad news? All those things. It absolutely starts at the top of an organization with the leader, and it starts with self. And there are so many times a CEO of an agency might call and this is going on and that's going on, and I want you to coach the EVP and I want you to coach the senior VP. And I'd love to, but my spidey sense, if you will, my inner coach says, I know where the
Mm,
problem's starting.
interesting.
I'd love to coach the CEO first.
Right.
But I can only say that usually if we've built the trust, if I've known them over the years or something like that, it's hard. And maybe I should be braver. Maybe I should be more courageous. But to say, can I share something with you you may not want to hear, but I think it's in your best interest, or I think it's in your organization's best interest. And that's language that I assume PR agency leaders are using with their
Yeah.
clients and prospects, right? You talk about trust. Trust is the core of the PR agency, comms agency, client relationship.
Sure.
And I think clients should want their agencies to tell them not just what they want to hear, but what they need to hear. I think that's part of the courage PR agency and PR practitioners should bring this year.
So last question for you, and it's a little bit of a pivot, tying back to your agency background, Ken.
Yes.
Talk about how your agency background matters in the coaching work that you do now. How did that transfer or transition to making you a great coach?
Well, thank you. I think it's two or three things. One is to be a good agency person, be a good PR person, to be a good agency leader, you've got to be a great listener. You've
Hmm.
just got to be a great listener, I think. And you've got to be willing to, hold on a minute, ask a good question, and you're tempted to offer consultation. Don't wait. Ask a deeper question, really, and then ask another and ask another. Um, because the real heart of the issue is often in that third or fourth question. So I think learning to question and really listen helps me a lot. The other part of it is, I mean, I'm coaching my clients around all the things we've talked about today: leadership and trust and courage and having difficult conversations. We're not talking much about PR. We're
Hmm.
not talking anything about PR. But my clients have told me, and it's going to sound immodest, but many of them have said, Ken, I've worked with other business coaches, but they don't know about PR or
Yeah.
agency life. I feel with you, I can use a shorthand. You get it. You've had my role or a similar role. So it's really more we cut to the chase more quickly because my clients use shorthand. They don't have to explain things in detail. And then we get to not what is the PR issue, we
Sure.
get to what is the leadership issue. So
Mhm.
that's what they've told me.
So the background gives you additional context and relevance. But the conversation today is about courageous leadership. And, despite how positive or how challenging the times are, that kind of leadership will withstand the times because it is so relevant to how people feel and what they need or in order to grow within the organizations that they're in. So I really appreciate the time you've taken today, Ken, to talk with us about courageous leadership, about your style to coaching, and what introduced you in the first place to strong women leaders, to the future opportunity to be a coach. So thank you so much, Ken, for spending some time with us on Kane Insights.
Thank you so much. I enjoyed it.